a lot of the smaller jobs that I tend to shoot sometimes, I love to look at those as like experimentation
Mm,
options,
yeah.
especially interviews in particular. I know a
Mm,
lot of people hate on interviews, which I get, but they are such an opportunity for you to just like explore lighting a face and a space.
exactly. 100%. I don't really understand the hate for interviews. I can understand the hate for interviews if you have like one light panel or
For sure.
something like that. Like
Yeah.
that's not fun, but that's not fun at any time.
Right.
Um, but if you have some resources, like treat it as a way to like exactly what you said. Treat it as an opportunity to like understand how to light a face, and not only like a face, but generally how you should light faces. Like some
Mm,
people's bone structure are such that they have a much rounder face, and for that you want a more faceted light look. Like you want your lights at more kind of oblique angles to each other. Then there's people whose bone structures are like, basically like if you have a more squared head, you want a more wrappy light to help bring out the qualities of their face. If
yes.
they have a rounder head, you want a more faceted kind of light, depending on the like sheen of their skin or where how their eyes are set. Like it,
That's a
it teaches
huge
you
thing.
how all those tricks of like how do you get light in people's eyes? How do you handle glasses? How do you
Yo,
handle
yeah.
dark hair, light hair, curly hair, straight hair? And a lot of times you don't necessarily have the opportunity to change lighting in between all of those setups. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Um, but okay, so what are the little tricks that you can have? A wag flag here to chop the bottom of your key light so that it gets it out of the glasses, but it still gets in their eyes. Or can I, instead of having, one light source as a backlight, can I use a bunch of Titan tubes and control the amount of wrap, like how far the
Mm,
wrap comes by just turning off half the lights? Or can I bring warm light up from the ground for that backlight and a little bit cooler from the top? So you're like creating all kinds of, anyways, like you're saying, it's
yes.
it's a really fantastic opportunity to play with fighting human faces. Like I just had a a very unique project where I did only interviews for a week in New Jersey in November, a week in Sao Paulo in December, and a week in Shanghai in January. And it was like we were more or less creating the same kind of set in all these different places, interviewing people all week. And again, all kinds of different looking people.
Mhm.
And I don't speak Portuguese and I don't speak Mandarin. And so I was spending the whole interviews just watching people's faces, trying to figure out how to improve eye light, how to
Mm.
all of these kinds of things. It's exactly what you said. Treating it like, well, this is just a
Like a
boring
playground.
interview, so I'm just going to put up a key light here. It's like, no, no, no. Let's try some ideas that you might have and figure out how to adapt them into projects that you care about.
Additionally, with lighting, I think the other thing I love about interviews in particular is most of the time, unless it's maybe you have an opportunity to scout, it forces you to immediately think about the fundamentals of composition and
Ugh.
walk into a space for the very first time and be like, within 2 minutes, 5 minutes, think about where you're going to place the subject. And I
Yep.
think that is such a fundamental tool that I've used in
Mm.
higher end commercials. Is just like
Yep.
looking at a space and asking myself, where are we going to place the camera? Where are we going to place the subject?
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think too, coming from, because I kind of started in like doc world, it's similar where you might have limited tools, you might have no tools, but those kinds of jobs can really teach you a lot about the fundamentals of balance and composition and image making and
Mm,
lighting, because a lot of maybe it's a lower budget thing and you have to work with the existing lighting and just shape that. And
mm.
yeah, that teaches you a lot about how lighting works.